Welcome to the Aro Benaiah Show, where we uncover the real stories and raw lessons behind blue collar success, from trade to trenches and entrepreneurship. Guest today is a man who has built his life on hustle, resilience, and personal accountability. Dennis McCurdy started from humble beginning, working since the age 12, failing in real estate, and graduating nearing the bottom of his class, yet built himself into a millionaire entrepreneur, financial advisor, and author of multiple books, including Suck It Up Cupcake, Stop Screwing Yourself, and get the life you want. Dennis has launched 10 businesses, helped countless people break through procrastination, and taught the powers of persistence and clarity in building success. He's the kind of guest who tell it like it was humor, honesty, and heart. Welcome to the show, and it's really a pleasure having you on the show.
Hey, Aro, thank you for having me here. Really, it's a great day, and I'm glad to be here. And as I said, I enjoyed your last podcast with Aaron Kelly on the branding. I got some good information out of that, so that was really great.
Oh,
So thank you for that
amazing.
one.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the feedback. Thank you. It's good to have you on the show. Yeah.
Good to
So,
be here.
so Dennis, what was it like growing up?
What was it like growing? I think I heard that question before. Do you want the truth, or?
Yes.
I mean, realistically, I grew up in a household with 5 boys and my mother and father. It was a small town. I think the population of the town was 1,200 people, and a very small town. In fact, now the town still is only about 3,500 people. So very small, rural town, but fun, good place to grow up. My mother used to call us the 5 little Indians because we were like out there running around going crazy. So home life was tough. My father was an ex-military drill instructor in the Army and also, unfortunately, a drinker. So that was difficult, which maybe gave me some of my work ethic because I would do anything to get out of the house. So I worked.
Wow.
You know,
Amazing.
yeah, I got my first job at 12. I was sweeping floors and emptying trash cans at the elementary school where I went when I was in the 6th grade. So that was my first job.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So
So work
Dennis,
is good.
your story starts young, working since age 12 and hustling through challenge. What did those earlier years teach you about work and self-reliance?
I missed the question. I'm sorry.
Okay, I said your story starts young. You started at age 12, hustling through challenge. What did those earlier years teach you about work and self-reliance?
Well, I learned one thing, that work gives you self-reliance, and when you can do your own things, buy your own things, create your own destiny through work, and people need to realize that. I think work is the answer. And even when I do financial consulting for people who are thinking about retiring, I always say, "What's your next job?" Of course, they give me the look. No, what do you mean? I'm going to retire. No, I said, it's not good for you to retire. Find something else you want to do. Maybe you don't make as much money, you don't have as much stress, but you need to work. Work is good.
Yeah, amazing,
And
amazing.
unfortunately, I think we've lost that.
Yeah, so true. So you have been open about graduating near the bottom of your class. How did that shape your mindset about success and failure?
I don't know how it shaped it. I mean, I never considered myself to be smart, but then for some reason, I was able to pass all these licensing exams. I became a certified financial planner, which is very difficult to do. So I think that goes back to, who we were as we were kids doesn't necessarily mean that we're not able to accomplish things. And oftentimes, say with school, I've discovered that if I like something, I can apply myself and I really work at it and I learn it. But if I don't, which brings me to that whole thing, I think you should work to find something that you are good at or you have potential to be good at, because you don't want to be what they call a square peg in a round hole, because it doesn't work.
Wow, this is really
It's
amazing.
really important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. I think the first point you just make reference of, we speak really volume, that what we were as a kid does not actually definitely speak volume once we grow older, being that when we're kids, we are most nonchalant, we don't care about a whole lot of stuff, we don't pay great attention to duties and everything. And you just make reference of it that, yeah, that doesn't define us being an adult, being that there's a whole lot of different things we could actually do. In fact, I think now for me, it's success can actually come into being owing to not just the grade we actually get, but being persistent, be willing to do more, be willing to show up even when things are not right. I think that's really
Right.
speak volume now. compared to the grade and everything. Yeah.
Right, right. And I think, there's a quote that I keep on my desk, and it's right here, and it's by
Oh,
a guy named William Feather, and it
okay.
says, Success seems to be largely a matter of hanging on when others have let go."
Wow, hanging on when others are let go. Oh, this is pretty really amazing. Hanging on
Yes.
while others are.
And that's it. It's, just keep hanging in there, keep, learning. I think learning is a really
Yeah.
crucial thing. I was always in what they called dumbbell reading in elementary school, and so I had that stigma, so I didn't like to read. And one of my biggest mentors told me when I was like 18, he said, "You got to read." And I went like, "Man, I'm not going to read." But now I read every day, and of
Wow,
course I've written 4 books, so
amazing.
I think one of the big obstacles is that we get into our head that mindset that we can't do something. And that's I think the biggest challenge we all face as human. Look at, you're doing the podcast. You decided I'm going to do the podcast,
Yeah.
and I'm interviewing with you because I decided I was going to be on
Yeah.
your podcast.
So true, so true.
It is. And then people don't give themselves enough credit and enough time to, well, what's that saying? I really like this saying. It says, we overestimate what we can do in a day or a week, but we underestimate what we can do in a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think,
Yes, there is this particular quote about Steve Jobs that really speaks volumes to this. That's every now and then when I look at it, it just speaks volume. Where he make reference of things different, and he was trying to kind of remind us of the fact that everything that now exists that we admire today, when it comes to all the innovations and everything, were people who actually think different, who think they could actually change the world. They went on at that from
right,
yeah from onset. They actually were like think they could change the world, change how things is, and most of them were confused. They don't even know how it's going to be. They don't even know whether it's going to work. But it's the fact that they believe in themselves that by working at it, definitely there's going to be change. And yeah, if we can actually just hang on what we are working on, over time we'll go to like we definitely realize the legacy we have left behind, and the whole lot of things that have changed owing to the fact that we stay at it and we keep more like keep
right.
improving on it.
Yeah,
So you fail at
exactly.
real estate at 24. What did that failure teach you that success never could?
Well, couple things. I mean, so let me say I failed in real estate because it was a terrible economy. I was
Yeah.
very young. I didn't really have anybody training me. So here's what I learned. You've got to learn, you've got to train, you got to get people to help you and train. That's really important. You can learn almost anything, just finding the ways to do that. Of course, it's gotten a lot easier now with the internet.
Yeah.
But the other thing is I learned so much from that time I was first in the real estate business. I mean, about business, about housing, about building things. We actually built some houses. I learned about land development. I just learned all these different things that have helped me so many times in my other businesses. In fact, in 1980, I started my own real estate company. And then we were building houses then. And on my own, I was building houses. And then I had 20 people working in the company for me. So all those experiences from that failure allowed me to have a very successful company later.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. So you often say that action and experience build confidence. Can you unpack what that means to someone feeling stuck?
Well, everybody, people think I can't do this. I don't have the confidence. Well, if you're trying something new, I mean, like a great example is the first time you tried to ride a bicycle.
Yeah.
How confident were you? You weren't.
Zero confidence.
First time you try to drive a car, right? Or first time you try
Yeah.
to do a podcast, right? How confident are you? But as you do it and as you learn, that's where the confidence comes from. And it comes from taking action and just repeated action over and over. You're gonna fail. I always tell people if you're a salesperson and you go out on a big account and you do terrible, well, the next time you won't do terrible because you learned
Yeah.
and you took the action, right?
Yeah. So true. So true.
So
It's really amazing. I
what
think
do they say?
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, repetition actually more like build confidence over time. Being that I could remember the first time I actually realized that podcast, I almost keep repeating to the guests, "This is my first time. Bear with me." That
Right,
was
right, right. Yeah, sure.
it was a whole lot was going in my mind. My mind was beating very fast. I could actually hold my breath. It was a whole lot. But after the repetition at a particular time, yeah, it feel pretty easy. Even if I have about 2 to 3 co-founder interview at the same time, I could actually easily more
Yeah.
like interview them without mincing words.
Yes.
Yeah, amazing.
And look at you now. How many podcasts have you done now?
I think I've done up to 70 now. Yeah, up to 70.
Yeah, that's a lot of podcasts. That's great.
Yeah, thank you.
That's great.
So your
I was
book,
actually doing one
okay,
last year.
yeah.
We started one. Unfortunately, my partner quit on me after 20 podcasts,
Oh,
which is, I was very disappointed. And so I might start one again on my own. But I mean, we were doing well and he just quit.
wow,
And they
amazing.
say that, that's where people quit, 20 on podcasting, right? So you're
Yes.
way past quitting.
Yeah. Because even me, I'm looking forward to more like, apart from just interviewing guests, I want to start doing locally too and reaching out to various vendors and interviewing them alongside while still having this. Apart from the fact that a whole lot of stories I'll be pouring in, it's the fact that I'm learning a whole lot from it. And as my audience is learning, I'm learning from it. And it's quite intriguing that a whole lot could actually more like be unveiled through the podcast. So in your book,
Oh, yes.
Suck It Up Cupcake is both funny and brutally honest. What inspired you to title it and what message is behind it?
Well, having grown up with the era that I grew up in, and
Yeah.
also having a father who's a drill sergeant, Army drill sergeant, I always have that attitude of, come on, you can do this. First you have to find what you want to do, because if you don't want to do something, it's very difficult to stay long term, that can develop that consistency.
Yeah.
So you have to find something you want to do, if at all possible, or something that will lead you to the next step anyway. But I think that people need to hear the tough love. Let's like stop whining, stop blaming everybody. I mean, don't get me wrong, I whine too. So,
Yeah.
but I try to catch myself and say, okay, come on, what's your part in this, and what can you do to change it? And that's what you have to look at. It's like almost nothing is cast in stone forever, so you can change things, but you have to be willing to do that. And so talk about Suck It Up Cupcake. One of the chapters in there is about mastermind groups. My most recent book, Unleash the Power of Connection, is all about connecting with people in mastermind groups, getting an accountability partner, a goal buddy, or a coach or a mentor, somebody who's going to, I always say, give you the loving kick in the ass when you need it.
Yeah.
Somebody who will say, somebody who will say to you, hey, look it, Aro, you were on this story for too long. Stop.
Yeah.
Get going. We need that.
Yeah, so true.
I don't care who you are. We all need it. Yeah.
Yeah, so true, because
we
can be distracted most time from our goals and aspirations that we have set, and having someone who just brutally tell us the truth can serve more like a mirror image and a reminder of what we want to do and hold us accountable. And I think it's very needed alongside our growth, anything we are looking forward to achieve, especially if you're starting out for the first time. Having someone who's going to be there who serve as more like a signboard, reminding you of what goals and aspirations you have set. I think it's very, very key.
Right.
So in your experience,
Yes.
what is one reason people get into their own way when chasing goals?
What do they get in their own way?
Yeah.
Their thoughts. It's always, everything goes back to our thoughts. And what do they say? We have like 70 to 90,000 thoughts a day, and most of them are negative, or repeats of old thoughts. And so it's hard to catch yourself, but that's probably one of the goals that we all need to have, is to just improve and say, wait a second, that's not necessarily true. Yeah, maybe I made a mistake here, but that doesn't mean I'm making a mistake every time, and to learn to deal with that. That's a biggie.
Wow. Amazing.
If we can do that, then
yeah. So how can someone tell if they are truly being accountable versus just being busy?
Well, you have to look and say, am I moving toward my goals, or am I just doing things that are, I'm guilty of a lot. I like shiny objects, so anything new was that shiny object syndrome. So I have to keep bringing myself back to focus, and that's why I go back to having an accountability partner, goal buddy, a mastermind group, somebody that's going to check in with you and you're going to check in with them. When I wrote my first book, which was Find a Way, Getting the Guide to Getting the Most Out of Life, I was meeting with a friend of mine who we were going to have a mastermind group, and ended up everybody that wanted to come in the group would quit after 1 or 2 times. So for 7 years, it was just her and I, Margot, and we met every month for 7 years. We would write down our goals, and then we would share the goals with each other. And then at the next month, we came back to the next meeting the next month. Hey, so let me finish. We would come back to each other the next month. Now, at the end of each meeting, I would write a check to Margot for $500, payable in 30 days. And she would write a check to me for $500. And if you didn't do your goals, the other person got to cash the check.
Wow.
Now that's
Well,
serious.
this is pretty amazing, being that it holds you accountable, because now you have skin in the game and you have something that can go in for it if you didn't actually want to do
Right.
it. I think this is a very lovely way of executing goals, because it puts you on the spot, being that you have something that is
Right.
going down for it. And definitely I'm going to try
Exactly.
it.
There you go. Try that. And after a while, it's not even the money anymore, Aro. It's the
Yeah.
I'm not going to disappoint her. We'll disappoint ourselves before we disappoint somebody else.
Yeah.
It's just
So true.
human nature. So having that accountability is crucial.
Thank you for that. So you talk about valleys of dead dreams. What is that, and how can people climb out of it?
So the valley of dead dreams is, some people call it the messy middle. In other words, you're going to try something new, right? When you do, is the energy, you're excited. It's like, oh, we're going to do this. We're going to go for it. And then you start, and then guess what happens? The work starts, and the work can go on, and depending on how big somebody's dream is, the valley could be a year or two or more, where you're building and you're working, and you may not even be getting results yet. And so trying to get to the other side of the valley where you're successful requires I think a lot of support. I'm big on support, because we all get discouraged and some things are very
Yeah.
difficult, and having the right team on your side to encourage you when you get down, like I said, to push you, is super important. We discount that way too much these days.
Yeah, so true, so true. I think I coming into being, and a whole lot of our social media coming into being. Most times, this relationship is being disapproved, whereas it speaks volumes, being that it's help our mental model, and also it's from this connection and this accountability that it's easier to get those dreams through compared to scrolling and doing other things which will our time without being accountable to any single thing.
Right, exactly. And I'm not saying we have to go 100% or work all, because nobody does that. I get, during the day, sometimes I goof off for 20 minutes, but to get back on track, and that's the key. And having that accountability. Actually, I forget which book I read it in. Was a study done by some scientists on this subject. And one of the things they said is, this is kind of weird, but even having a picture of someone on the wall, or a set of
Yeah.
eyes looking at you, causes you to perform better.
Yeah, so true, so true. I think I learned about that some time ago, especially when I read biography. And they were making reference of when you have this picture of this biographer who actually impacts you in terms of you reading their stories, every now and then your mental model is going to be, wow, if Nelson Mandela was to be in this room, how will he think?
Mm-hmm.
What will he do different?
Mm-hmm.
And just having those mental models really help you to make better decisions and to make better choices
Yes.
per time compared to when there is no
Yes.
mental model at all.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. And even having that just in your mind is, it's good. It's good.
yeah,
So
thank you.
and we have to keep going back to those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you emphasize
So,
clarity. Why is it so important to know exactly what you want before you chase it?
well, again, we talked about, not being a square peg in a round hole.
Yeah.
So I often tell people, my second job, or not job, but when I was young, there was a magazine for Boy Scouts, and they used to buy things out of there, and you used to be able to get, like, I used to get Christmas cards and greeting cards and flower seeds in the spring, and I would go door to door selling to all of those things. So every year I would go selling Christmas cards, selling greeting cards, selling flower seeds. And so I realized that, selling was probably part of my blood, or something I didn't. Most people don't like selling, but I didn't bother me. The other thing, I noticed that I was a good at, organize not being a catalyst, getting things going. So when we were going to play baseball, I would call my friends up and go, "Hey, we're going to play baseball at 1 o'clock." And they'd say, "Who's coming?" And I would go, "Well, Wally, Bobby, Gary, all those guys." And they hadn't called them yet, but I just made believe they were going to come, you
Yeah.
know. And then I call the other guys and go, "Oh yeah, no, that guy's coming too." So so I learned I could do those things and make connections. And so I often will tell people I'd be a terrible computer programmer because that all day would make me nuts, where some people would thrive doing that. So finding what, fits your personality, like you're doing this because
Yeah.
it fits your personality, and you enjoy it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
Amazing.
really important.
How do you personally review your goals and keep yourself aligned?
I got a whip and I just keep every morning I'm 75 years old and I still get up every morning at 5 and I love coffee shops. I love coffee shops. So by 6:15 I've already walked. I've already had something to drink. I've walked. I've gotten cleaned up and I'm in the coffee shop working. And so that's the time for me. I'm usually the only one there or very few people there. I got a corner I sit in. Uh, I got my computer. First thing I do every morning, I read 2 pages of the book As a Man Thinketh by James Allen.
Big is Alan.
Yeah, yeah. Every single morning I read 2 pages. That helps focus me. And I don't read more than 2 pages. I just read the 2 pages, but it's consistency every day, and that keeps me focused. And then I have my goals there, and I have some of my work there, and whatever work I brought with me for the morning, I have that there. And let's be real, sometimes I screw off.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't. I fool. But we all do that. So the thing is, when you do that, don't beat yourself up. Just
Yeah.
say, okay, today I kind of missed. Tomorrow I'll back on.
Yeah. Thank you. So you often highlight the
Yeah.
power of connection. How do relationship play into success, especially for blue collar entrepreneurs?
It goes back to what you were saying before, all about accountability. We all do better when someone's
Yes.
watching us.
So true.
And I always say, I do not like to be pushed, but I love the results. So I don't like pushing me, but at the end I go like, wow, look what I did.
You did it.
It's like, yeah. So it's like even if you go to the gym, right? And you got somebody, you're trying to do bench presses and somebody's spotting you, right? And they're saying, go, go. You get that accountability.
Yeah, amazing. So how do you help clients overcome procrastination when willpower alone isn't work?
How do we help clients? Well, I think one of the things with procrastination is, one, I think a lot of procrastination is fear. We're afraid
Yeah.
we can't do something. We're afraid we're not going to be successful.
So true.
We make that call, we're going to get yelled at or whatever. I'm a big believer. In my book, I have an acronym called KISSES, and it means keep it simple, sustainable, easy, and supported. So you keep it simple, easy, keep it small. People, unfortunately, will start too big sometimes, and so they get overwhelmed or they get afraid and then they quit. So by keeping things small, it goes back to that. You can accomplish more in a year than you think you can. Don't try to accomplish it all one day, because you can't. And just keep that consistency going. And again, it goes back to consistency.
Yeah.
So a little while ago, I started getting back onto my elliptical machine, for exercise. I mean, I walk every day, but I decided I was going to do some more elliptical. So my goal was I had to do 2 minutes every day, because I don't have enough excuses not to do 2 minutes. Now I'm up to like 12 minutes, and before you know it, I'm going to be up to 20 minutes.
Yes.
So it's every single day.
Yeah, I think it really speaks volume from what you just said, which shows that procrastination many times is hinged on the fact that fear is actually more like creeping in. And from what we just said earlier, just showing up without knowing anything, showing up unprepared, showing up not knowing much, showing up with fear, showing up and everything. Try and show you show up, because over time, confidence is going to kind of be built up owing to you show up. And with time, you're going to master your voice and being able to show up in the very right way. And this is really amazing.
Right.
So after decades of building, leading, and coaching, what keeps you motivated today?
She motivated today? Talking to you.
Wow. Amazing.
It's just for some reason, I mean, because I've been doing this so long, I get up every morning ready to go. I know what I want to accomplish. Actually, my daughter's now coming into my business, so that's more motivating for me, because I want to make sure it's good for her. So, what do they say? Knowing your why.
Yeah.
Why you're doing something, your purpose. But my purpose primarily is to help other people, because help them with their finances, help them protect their assets, and give them a kick in the butt when they need it,
Yeah,
you know,
amazing.
to get them to do the right things.
Yeah,
I think everybody can be successful. Everybody can. If you can find a mentor, or you find somebody who accountable mentor, probably be good for somebody young who say is kind of floundering. That can point you in the right direction and then keep kicking you in the butt.
yeah, thank you.
We
So
need the
finally,
we need the butt kicks.
yeah, so true. So finally, Dennis, what is one piece of advice you will give to someone listening who feel like they have already failed too much to start over?
That's just never true. That's, every what do they like to say? Failure is feedback. Every time you fail, I tell my staff this too. If you get something wrong on a test, what's the thing you remember about the test? What you got wrong.
Yeah,
If you fail, you make a mistake, you remember that even more than the things you got right.
yeah, so true.
So every time you fail at something, it makes you stronger. Just like when I failed in real estate, I look back at all the things I learned from that. Or if I've hired some people that didn't work out for me, what do I learn from that failure? And so that hopefully I may avoid that mistake the next time. And it makes me smarter. Failures make you smarter. So go out and, what that old saying, go out and fail.
Yeah, so true. And I think there is this book of John Maxwell that speaks volume to how this feel. I think the title of the book was Sometimes You Fail, Sometimes You Learn. Uh, so, so he was trying to make reference of the fact that failure simply means, yeah, there's a whole lot to. So he was saying, okay, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. Instead of saying sometimes you fail, because there's a whole lot of learning experience that come with failure. And just hearing
Yeah.
from you to just speak volumes. So there's a whole lot. So if you fall, just pick yourself up again. Thank God you have learned the fact another way of not doing it, and that will actually reinforce to you once you're able to pick yourself up to do it now the right way. So Dennis, it's
Right.
really been amazing having this conversation. How can our audience learn more about you? How can they do business with you, and where is the best platform to do this?
Easiest thing is just put in DennisMcCurdy.com. My books are there, my contact information is there, some free resources are there. And if somebody has a question, they can feel free to email me. I'll be happy to talk with them. I never say no. Hopefully I'll
Wow.
get so busy I'll have to someday, but I like to encourage people.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Dennis, this has been a powerful and practical conversation from your humble beginning to your message of accountability and persistence. You have reminded us that success isn't about where you start, it's about how you are willing to look in the mirror and take action. To our listener, if today's episode lit a spark, go grab Dennis' book, Suck It Up Cupcake, or visit dennismccurdy.com for free resources, toolkits, and resources. Remember, clarity builds confidence, and confidence comes from doing. Keep building, keep learning, and we'll see you in the next time on the Aro Benaiah Show. Once again, it's a pleasure and an honor have you on the show, Dennis.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being here.